So let's get started here. Again, if you're just popping in, we're live every Sunday night at 7 o'clock. And so here's our question. Is teaching stealing more from teachers than just their time? I mean, somewhere along the way, teaching stopped being something that teachers do, and it started to become something that they're expected to become. And that's all because of the unspoken rule. And this unspoken rule, what it does is it convinces teachers that being good means erasing part of your lives, like your identity or your dignity or your health or your time with your family. And I don't want you to misunderstand. I don't want anybody to misunderstand. No one teaches this rule. You're not going to find the rule in your handbook. You're not going to find the rule in your college course. The HR department's not going to come down and tell you about the rule, but the rule is real, and you will learn the rule the longer that you're in education. And the way that you learn it is when you see the teacher that's just barely surviving, and yet they stay quiet. Or when the idea of saying that I'm struggling or I'm having a hard time feels extraordinarily risky, or when exhaustion is the normal and the idea of setting boundaries doesn't just seem awkward, it seems like it's forbidden. And over time, the rule, it doesn't actually feel like it's being imposed upon us. It actually feels like it's an expectation. And then before long, it becomes personal. And so in this video, what I want to share with you is the unspoken rule that is erasing the identity of teachers and show you the damage that it causes, the lies that it tells. And I want to talk to you just briefly how you can teach without losing who you are in the process. Now, here's the good news. Once you understand that this rule is learned and not taught, it becomes easier to identify it and to give it a name. So what is the unspoken rule? And it is, good teachers don't make it about themselves. Now, here's the thing about that rule, is that rule doesn't sound all that bad. It actually sounds responsible because it suggests to us that we're not complaining or drawing attention to ourselves, that we're not adding to the burden of other people. We are good team players, that we handle our own stuff and we stay quiet and we mind our own business. It gives us the idea that we're dependable, even whenever things get very difficult. And responsibility and being responsible is something that teachers value deeply. We work hard to teach our students how to be responsible, how to model responsibility for others, and we try to model responsibility for our students. So the rule gives us the feeling that it's aligned with who we already are. We're responsible. The rule also sounds, this whole idea of good teachers don't make it about themselves, it also sounds very mature. It suggests then that we are emotionally in control of ourselves, that we don't need reassurance or recognition, that we will push through all of the hard times and all the uncomfortable times because that's just what we do, that we willingly put the needs of our students or the needs of our school above our own. And I got to be honest with you, there's absolutely nothing wrong with any one of those. I mean, because after all, the scripture says to consider the needs of others more than you consider your own. Because that's exactly the way we want our students to regulate themselves. However, in the case that we're talking about, self-denial without self-care is self-neglect. And that's where the problem begins. Now, the unspoken rule, this idea of good teachers don't make it about themselves, it sounds admirable. And that's exactly what makes it dangerous. The most dangerous rules aren't the ones that sound cruel. They're the ones that sound right. This rule, it doesn't sound dangerous. It seems like that's the way it ought to be. It doesn't sound abusive. It doesn't sound unreasonable. As a matter of fact, it sounds like professionalism. But professionalism in the context of teaching sounds like this: don't make waves, don't make it personal, and don't take up too much space. In other words, we minimize ourselves so that we don't become the problem. And every teacher in America knows exactly what I'm talking about. The one that speaks up when things aren't right, the one that sets boundaries and doesn't negotiate. They're seen as the problem. They're seen as the one that's not the team player. They're seen as the one that's making it more difficult for everybody else. And here's the thing: when harmful habits wear the language of professionalism, it becomes invisible, becomes impossible for us to see. And when it is invisible, teachers don't resist it. Rather, we internalize it. Teachers don't say, hey, this is hurting me. They say, this is what is expected of me. And that is where the shift and where we begin to lose our identity. Now, here's some words, and they're extraordinarily important, and I wrote them down, and I want to share them with you because I don't want anybody to ever forget this. You don't have to stop being a good teacher when you take care of yourself. You stop being a good teacher when you fail to care for yourself. And so let me repeat that. I wrote these down because I didn't want to forget them, and I don't want you to forget them. You don't stop being a good teacher when you take care of yourself. You stop being a good teacher when you fail to take care of yourself. One of our main points here at Teacher Talk is that we believe 100% the very best thing that you can do for your students, for your school, and for your principal is to be the healthiest version of yourself every single day. And that does not occur by the giving of yourself into the place of total exhaustion. It occurs by taking care of yourself. So we got a few more that just jumped in. Hey, Scorpio, how are you doing? Hope everything's going all right there. Listen, let's see, ripples in the water. Let's see. Yeah, my principal. What is it? My principal basically told me that I'm the problem. Lovely is right. So you know what I have found, and maybe you guys know better than I do. I have no idea, but I have found that down through the years that maybe the people that get gaslit the most are teachers. Somehow it doesn't make any difference what's going on. If the kids are misbehaving in the class, it's because you haven't built a relationship with them. If they continue, if you work to build a relationship with them, they continue to misbehave in the class, it's because your class management isn't good enough. If the kids don't meet the standards, it's because you're not explaining it well enough. How is it that everything can fall on the shoulders of teachers or on the shoulder of the teacher? And I realize that the teacher is the adult in the room, and I realize that we are the most experienced, and that we do have the responsibility of creating a learning atmosphere. But it could never possibly be, that there are just some students that are not going to behave, or there are some students that are simply not going to apply themselves to learn anything. It's not that they can't learn. It's not that they couldn't learn. It's that they don't want to learn. I just think about my school and my job and the students that I deal with, and there are all kinds of students. Every single day they come to school and they just simply don't want to participate. I have to chase them all over campus to keep them in class. Every time I turn around, they're into something else. They're into the bathroom, or they're down there, or they're around the corner on their phone, or whatever it is. Why does that become the problem of the teacher? Why is that the fault of the teacher? Why is that the fault of the school? And it just seems like from every level, from the top all the way down to the teacher, that it's nothing more than just gaslighting everybody. That if you would do this, or if you would do that, or if you would make this change, or if you would make that change, then everything would be okay. Scorpio says right here, let's see what he says. Got a crazy email from my principal. Oh, bro, what do you think it's about? Any idea? I don't know. Every time I get an email from the principal that they want to meet, I always feel like I need to take representation with me. I don't know if you have a union where you're at, Scorpio, but if you do, you should take representation with you for sure. It's just my point of view. Let's see what it says right here. It's just too much. His ego was hurt. He accused me of something I didn't do. Well, I tell you what, that's why we talk a lot here. Whenever Doc's on the show, whenever, of course, I'm all alone by myself right now tonight, but whenever she's on the show, we talk a lot about data, and data does a lot of things. Data can help identify some learning problems. Data can help us identify students that are behind, but data can also be the very thing that we need whenever we go into meetings with principals to demonstrate to them that, hey, either your idea isn't very good, or the thing that you want me to do is not very good, or it becomes a way of covering yourself. I know that my wife, she's a banker, and man, I tell you, it's like a cutthroat business. And one of the things that I taught her, or was helping her learn, because it just doesn't happen in her business, is how to email and summarize conversations, and to collect notes, and to collect data in her job, so that whenever her bosses come to her and say, hey, about this, that, or the other, she's able to just lay it out there for you. So I hope that you have that. Yeah. Ripples in the water's got it right. Don't go, if you've got rep, don't go in there without rep. If you got it, go in there with them. Hey, guys, if you just jumped in and you haven't told us anything yet, Ripples in the Water is kind of making fun of us tonight because she's had 38 degrees in Southern California. We have not had 38 degrees, not even. As a matter of fact, it's going to be warmer tomorrow in Alaska than it's going to be in Miami, Florida. That's the situation that we're in. So if you haven't already, drop into the chat box and tell us, what is the lowest temperature that you have experienced in your area. And I can tell you, in my area, water pipes are not insulated whatsoever. Now, I'm from the mountains, my wife and I, so I thought about that issue, whenever we got our house, because we have exposed water pipes that are for our irrigation and stuff. I went ahead and insulated those, so I don't have to worry about busted water pipes. But my daughter's been texting me while we were here, and and their sprinkler pipes have busted, and apparently they're busted all over the place. We're seeing them on Facebook. So if you got a temperature, throw it in there and let us know what that temperature looks like. Now, here's the thing: once the unspoken rule gets a hold of you, it starts to shape what you believe about yourself. And there are specifically 3 lies that the unspoken rule says to teachers. The first one is, if I focus on myself, I'm taking away from others. That somehow our students, or the organization that we're in, or our school, or our principal are somehow going to suffer if I take care of myself, if I take time away. And I want you to think about that. All of us out there, we're like 2 mistakes away from pink slip. Maybe not even 2 mistakes, depending on where you work. I work in Florida, and it's an at-will state. So I'm like literally 1 mistake away from a pink slip, right? So how in the world is taking care of ourselves? How do we come to the point to think that taking care of ourselves somehow takes away from others? And it assumes a few things. It assumes that care is a finite thing, that there's actually a limit to how much care we should take of ourselves. And the fact of the matter is that most of us, we do not care for ourselves in the way that we should, and we need to care for ourselves quite a bit more. Number 2, it treats energy like a zero-sum game, as if somehow we can't run out of energy, that somehow energy just restores and just renews itself, as if we don't over time deplete our emotional and our mental and our spiritual energy by overdoing ourselves, by overworking, and by putting ourselves last. It ignores the long-term cost of depleted care. One of the things that we talk about here all the time is the health consequences of burnout: high blood pressure, heart palpitations. A lot of the female workers that I work with, they have a lot of urinary tract infections. There was me 3 years ago, well, almost 4 years ago now. I woke up and my face was completely paralyzed. I couldn't blink my eyes. I couldn't bite down on a fork. I couldn't smile. I couldn't do anything. And all of that was a result of chronic stress. And we ignore the possibilities of those things as if it can't happen to us. And then it does. And somehow we believe this lie that if I take care of myself, then I'm taking away from others. And I go back to it, and I say, I know I say it so much, but I really want to make the point. The very best thing that we can give to our students and to our schools is the most healthiest version of ourselves possible. The second lie is that good teachers push through no matter what. We live in a performance-based, hustle-based culture. And in that culture, value is often determined by how much you are able to produce. Endurance is what gets praised, the ability to work long hours or to complete many tasks in a single day. People look at that and they praise that type of work and that type of effort. Burnout becomes the norm, and it is the norm in education. Over 50% of educators report already being burned out. As a matter of fact, one statistic that I read from one article pointed out that 25% of teachers leave teaching at the Christmas break. 25% of teachers leave at the Christmas break. At the end of the year, over 300,000 teachers will leave the teaching profession, and 270,000 of them won't come back. Some of those are transitional, some of those are retirement, but a lot of those are just people leaving the business. Warning signs get ignored. And I tell you, that's exactly where I was at several years ago. I ignored all of the warning signs. I ignored the fact that I couldn't sleep. I ignored the fact that whenever I did try to go to sleep, or whenever I did go to sleep, I couldn't stay asleep. I overlooked the fact that my legs hurt so bad that whenever I was able to make it to bed, sometimes midnight and 1 o'clock, that my legs would twitch and they would jump and they would hurt and they would ache. I overlooked every single one of those warning signs. I overlooked my attitude. I overlooked the fact that I was snapping at my family. I overlooked the fact that I was getting irritated with students at school, that I was getting irritated with my colleagues, that I believed that everything was a personal attack against me. I ignored every bit of that. And you know why? Because I believed that lie, that good teachers, no matter how hard it gets, good teachers push through. And lie number 3 is needing boundaries means that I do not care enough. And again, our ability and our availability becomes the metric of just how good we are, just how good of a teacher we are. Are you available when something needs to be done? Are you available when the class down the hallway needs to be subbed, but you're supposed to be on your planning or you're supposed to be on your lunch? Are you available for the event that's going on after school, whatever that is? One of the things that came up, I saw this video by Gary Brooks, and I know that most of us in here, we know who Gary Brooks is, and most of us watch him. And he pointed out that one of the parents got very mad and went onto Facebook, and they were talking about how these teachers, instead of having the award ceremony at 10 o'clock in the morning, the award ceremony somehow needs to be at 6 p.m. so that the parents can make it. And Gary Brooks goes on to point out that, hey, you know what? Your teacher's been here since about 6 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock in the morning. They've already worked a full day. They've already put up with your kids all day. They've already returned all your emails. And they don't get paid whenever they stay here until 6 o'clock. That teachers deserve to be able to go home and to be with their family. Availability is oftentimes the metric that we get judged by. Limits oftentimes are perceived as failure. The idea that somebody has to draw a line and say no more. Somehow we're not strong enough. Somehow we're not capable enough. Somehow we're not doing enough. Whenever we do draw a boundary, we begin to feel guilty about it. And home ultimately becomes another workspace. Some people have their second office at home. As a matter of fact, one of the comments on the very first Unspoken Rule that video that I ever did, and as a matter of fact, if you're interested in that, I can link it down in the description box, and I'll put a card up at the top. But somebody sent me a comment today. Then they said, I'm sitting at home on a Sunday, grading all my papers and doing all of my lesson plans, listening to this video about the Unspoken Rule. How ironic is that? Do not allow your sacred space at home to become infiltrated with the work that you have at school. Because if you do, you will not be able to rest appropriately. You'll never recover in the way that you should. Don't let the sacred space of your home be taken over. And I tell you what, I came within just an inch of violating that rule today. As a matter of fact, I did violate it yesterday, but it was out of dire emergency that I had to answer an email from a parent. But I almost violated that because I got some athletic stuff that I need to do, and I'm far, far, far behind. I can't get caught up with it with all the trying to make sure that everybody is eligible to play softball and baseball. Now that the season's coming up, and I almost violated today, and I sit right here in front of the computer that I'm sitting at now, and I said, John, you cannot violate the rule that you encourage everybody else to keep. And so ultimately, I didn't do that. Let me ask you a question. Which one of these lies have you believed? Number one, if I focus on myself, I'm taken away from others. In other words, if I focus on myself, I'm being selfish. Have you believed lie number two? Good teachers push through no matter what. Have you believed lie number three, that needing boundaries means that I don't care enough? Whatever number that you've believed, drop it down in the chat. Let me know about it. Talk about it for just a minute. All right, let's get caught up right here. All right, what does Scorpio have to say? All right, this is why they like women to be teachers and nurses. We are giving in nature. As a mother, I have sacrificed many things. I'm going to tell you what. All right, Scorpio, you're hitting a nail right here, and I've talked about this quite often. Back in the days, if you went back to whenever I was a kid in the 70s, every single teacher, pretty much, and if you go beyond the 70s, this is absolutely true. Every single teacher was female. But the administrators were all male. Probably everybody in here, if you're my age, if you're 50 plus, you could probably remember that makeup in education. And I tell you what's happened is that's how teacher salary got to be so low. Is they paid the male administrators a good wage, and they paid the female teachers a bad wage, right? Or a lower wage. And so today, even though there's been a flip, in education, because in my district, almost every single administrator in my district is female. Almost every single administrator is female. But the teacher pay is still low. The teacher pay is still very low. And Scorpio is 100% on it. She's on it. No. So let's see here. Scorpio, Ripples in the Water, you got 10 years left to retire. I'm hoping to make it out in 3. All right. Well, I got the wrong one right there. She says that she's dealt with number 2. And I have to say that number 2, I think, is probably the most common. And I don't know if everybody heard it. If they did, you can still drop it in the chat. Which lie have you believed? Number 1, if I focus on myself, I'm being selfish. Good teachers push through and work no matter what. Or number 3, needing boundaries means that I don't care enough. Which one of those lies have you believed? 1, 2, or 3? Drop it down in the chat and let's talk about it just a little bit. Yeah, Ripples in the Water. She remembers that too. The dynamic in education has changed. The problem is that the pay and all the things that came along with it, they haven't changed. Says there's not much difference between a DIM and a teacher here. Really? There's a lot of difference. There's a lot of difference where I work at. Number 2, hey, 1 for him. Hey, man, thanks for jumping in. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hey, a couple things that I just want to mention here right quick. I have a few resources for you. They're linked down in the description box. As always, all of our free resources, they're available. All right, you can get them there at the QR, or you can use the links down in the description box. They're free, they're 100% free, and they're always free. It'll take you right over to my website, and there's a whole selection of stuff there for you to get. It's free. We've become as much as possible a free resource here at Teacher Talk, and we enjoy that. Although I can tell you it's very expensive. I got a few other resources for you. All right, the first resource is this book by Pete Scazzaro, The Emotional Healthy Leader. All right, it says leader here, but there's 2 books. It's Emotional Healthy. Golly, I can't remember the name of it, but one's the leadership side of it, and the other side is just a regular emotional healthy living, I think is what it's called. It is linked in the description box. It'll take you right to Amazon and you can pick that up. This is an excellent read. It is an excellent read. It'll help you identify some of the problems that we struggle with as teachers. Scorpio says number 3. So we've all believed probably in some way or another all 3 of those lies, but all 3 of those are representative here. All right. The second resource, again, I recommend this all the time. This is Sacred Rest by Sandra Dalton Smith. Best read that I have had in a long time that focuses on the idea of rest. And rest is more than sleep. Okay. As a matter of fact, whenever you read this book, whenever you grab it, it's down in the description box. Sleep is the least type of rest, or the least important type of rest. Hey, 1 for him, got it right there. I couldn't come up with it. That's it right there. Pete Scazzaro's Emotionally Healthy Spirituality. It's top notch. Okay, it doesn't sound like it's a good book for an educator, but I promise you, 100% it is. I've read both of them, but I couldn't find the other book on my shelf. Whenever I left the ministry, I don't know. I have thousands of books, and I had to put them all in totes and put them up in the attic, and I haven't never gotten them back out to put them in my library. Final resource right here is Grace for the Afflicted. This is a book about the struggles of mental health, and it's extraordinarily good. I have read it personally. It is top notch. It is down in the description box. Take you right over to Amazon and you can pick those up. Then again, you have our resources. They're free. They're 100% free, and they're always free. There again, you can get a QR code or down in the description box. Final thing we want to talk about is our memberships. Okay, I'm working really hard because I am a novice at YouTube. I'm a novice at YouTube. I started YouTube about 6 months ago. And I tell you what happened is I put out a few videos and I just about quit. And then I put out a couple of videos and they went viral. They went completely viral. And the next thing you know, I'm completely monetized. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to build a community of people here. We offer memberships. You can get them You can probably get them right there on the page that if you're watching on your phone or if you're watching on your TV, you can get them right there at my YouTube page. Just click in. I don't even know how much they cost. I think the low level is $4.99. That gets you special access to certain things, members only. The higher membership gets the live memberships, which I'm going to try to change that because I want to offer that to more people at a lower cost. And then, of course, there are super chats. This is the way that we support the work here, is by your generous donations, and we appreciate all of our members. We appreciate all the super chats and the super thanks. I mean, some people give us super thanks on our shorts. I absolutely cannot thank everybody enough, because that is the only way that we can keep going. Hey, Ripples in the Water says she started last year on YouTube. Oh, what's this say? What did she say right here? Let's pull that up. It took 24 years, but no more following that rule. That's a good one. That's a good one. So it didn't take me 24 years. I guess it took 14 years. I guess it did. And I would still be following that rule had my body allowed me to do it. But my body literally forced me to stop because I was literally I was killing myself, not intentionally, but that's exactly what was happening. So if it hadn't been for that, I would still be going at it. So here's the thing: we have to have a way to do the thing that we love and keep our emotional, mental, and physical and spiritual health intact. At Teacher Talk, we're a faith-forward organization. Everybody in here knows that. And our core verse is this: above all else, guard your heart, for from it flow the issues of life. And when we talk about guarding our hearts, what we mean is that we have to guard ourselves from the internal and external issues that impact our life. Because our heart, or the person that we are, our heart is the source of our thoughts, our attitudes, our beliefs, and ultimately and finally our actions. Because the proverb points out that everything you do in life, all of your actions, all of your things that you are about, is all a result of what is in your heart. And I want you to know that guarding your heart is not a withdrawal from people. It's not a withdrawal from our responsibilities. It's not a withdrawal from being a good teacher that works hard, that plans well, and that cares for teachers. It's not a withdrawal from our desire to do a good job. Rather, guarding our heart is about stewardship. It's about managing our heart correctly. And good stewardship ultimately provides clarity. And that's what we have to have, is clarity. When teachers stop living in constant emotional survival mode, we're able to see clearly. And what that means is, or what we mean is, you can tell the difference between what is urgent and what is important. Because not everything that's urgent is actually important. And not everything that's important is urgent. There has to be a matrix to see through that. So I actually have one of those. If you'll go down into the description box, or if you'll check it out right here, there's a resource down there for you that'll help you work through that very issue right there. What is important and what is urgent? So go down there and grab that. It's free. It's 100% free, and it's always free. It helps you recognize what are your responsibilities and what are not your responsibilities. So often and so many times we get so many things on top of us that before long we begin to think that everything is our responsibility. I struggle with this greatly at my work, in particular in my job as dean of students. There's a lot of things that come my way, everything from discipline problems to parents to parent meetings to check-in and check-outs to behavior contracts to writing behavior plans. And oftentimes I think about myself as dean of students, and I often thought, well, those are my responsibilities. But you know what the truth of them are? They're not. A lot of those responsibilities belong to guidance. And so, in recent days, I've been kind of pushing some of that work that way to get some things off of me so that I could actually focus on what are my responsibilities. And then you stop interpreting every failure or every feeling as a failure. And I don't know about you, but I struggle with that. I struggle with what a lot of people call imposter syndrome. And I'm always afraid that if I don't perform at my highest, that if I don't outperform everybody else, that somehow people are going to say, hey, that guy's a fake. And we know he's a fake. Do you understand what I'm talking about? I mean, I just struggle with it. And a lot of times I can't get out from underneath of it. Hey, we've had a few more jump in here. Hey, there it is. Who is that? Hey, Hike with Mike. I've been busy and every school day, so I spent my weekends at school. Holy crap, man. Holy cow. We got to work out a schedule, brother. You're gonna kill yourself. We can't let that happen to you. Let's see, Ripples in the Water had to come in. She said, yeah, I was expecting to do that at my last campus. I always said no. That's a good idea right there. That's a good idea. Did you get away with it, Ripples in Water, to be able to say no? A lot of people can't get away with it. I mean, there's a lot of pressure put on them. So here, I struggle with the same things too. All right. And I know I just confessed that. But I really am trying to take a hard look at the things that I do versus the things that I think should go in another direction. And that's only come to me, Ripples in Water, after 7 years. 7 years. So I'm not suggesting that somehow it can be worked out overnight, that it does take some time for sure to be able to do that. Let's see. Hey, there's the cluster coach. Man, I'm glad to see you, brother. Thanks for jumping in. Now, everybody doesn't know this, but the cluster coach was the very first member of Teacher Talk community. And so we were so glad to have him. And I think that cluster coach is in Australia, where it is definitely not -9 or -19 or whatever ridiculous temperatures that we've had here. Cluster coach struggles with all three. All right. Absolutely. 100%. So here's a good point Ripples in Water makes right here. All right. She was being asked to do stuff, but it's off contract. That contract is very important in the teaching business. I know everybody here realizes that, but let's not forget that we have a contract and that we need to hold our employer to that contract as well. They want to hold us to it, so let's hold them to it. Oh, let's see what it says right here. I have a huge wall of letters from former students. I read them every day to keep my sanity and sense of purpose. That is a great idea. That is a super idea right there. I'm going to create one of those as well. So one of the cool things that's happened down through the years, you're talking about a wall of letters. I don't have a wall of letters, but I have a collection of artist renderings of me. Students would draw me in class, and they are the coolest thing. And you wouldn't believe the artistic ability some of these students have, that they can draw lifelike portraits and how beautiful they are. So some of that is just good stuff right there. I absolutely believe that. So what do we got right here? Pick it in stone. Most of the work we bring home is busy work, right? Good mantra. If AI can do it, it ain't. Number 2, you're on it hot tonight. Think about that. Think about how that applies to our planning and grading. So 100%. I'm working on some content to do here for AI and how AI can take a lot of the pressure off of us. I have no idea when it's going to be ready. I'm an absolute advocate for using AI. People can say what they want to about me. I was using it two years, almost 3 years ago when ChatGPT was fairly new. And I know that a lot of my colleagues, they didn't like that. They told me I was cheating. Said, well, you just don't want to put in the hard work. And I'm like, no, I have to put in the hard work. Absolutely. If I don't put in the hard work, I'm going to get a bunch of garbage out of it. But you're absolutely right, picking in stone. If AI can do it, let it do it. Okay. I don't write a single behavior contract. I tell it what I want. All right. I don't write behavior contracts. I don't write any no contact orders that we have a lot of times at our school. So I know that some people are, and I don't know what you think about this, a lot of people are using them to assist them in writing their IEPs and 504s. I would not write a single lesson plan. If I were still in the classroom, I would not write a single lesson plan without actually a combination of ChatGPT and Notebook LM. Absolutely, 100% would not do it. No way. In fact, I would create notebooks in Notebook LM based upon the standards that I wanted to teach. I would go and get the information, the source documents, and I would put it in those notebooks and create my lesson plans directly from there. Not only that, but in Notebook LM, you can create videos that you can play for your students. You can create podcasts, infographics, all your slides. No more having to go over to Gamma to get your slides. It's all right there. It's an incredible resource that teachers ought to be jumping into. Absolutely. Now, Ripples in Water, they don't like AI, and I understand that. There's still some holdouts, but I really believe that AI is going to be a game changer. And if my computer at school, if I were able to connect ChatGPT agents to answer emails and to do my schedule and to take care of my calendar and all that other stuff, I would 100% do it. 100% do it. But that's not allowed right there. So absolutely. All right. Hype with Mike. I'm an AI guy. He's not an AI guy. He's a paper and pencil guy. Okay. So, there is a push to push things back that way, paper and pencil. There's some research that suggests that being completely automated it doesn't do damage to brain functions. I guess it doesn't develop brain function in the way that it needs to be. My lesson plans are easy to do just right. See the last 24. Yeah. Well, so you do have one thing on your side. You have 24 years worth of experience. You're almost like ChatGPT, probably yourself. You got that stuff on the top of your head. All right. See, let's look here. Cluster codes. That's how I do my lesson plans. I use AI. So we got some that's for it, some that's against it. I get it. And I can only tell you from my perspective. So if you disagree, that's okay. Not a problem. Let's see. I don't like AI, but I'm trying to see the issue of AI if AI can do it, why am I trying to do it all? Think beyond AI type assignments and teacher work. That's good stuff right there. Appreciate that. So here's the thing. Clarity will allow you to make 5 internal shifts that will change how you respond and how you react to the pressures of teaching. The very first internal shift is awareness. You have to be able to name the reality. You have to be able to give it a label or to understand it. Healing begins when teachers stop minimizing what they're experiencing. So awareness is the courage to say, this is hard. Teaching is hard. It's always been hard, and it's always going to be hard. Awareness also realizes that this hard work comes at a cost, and it costs me. It's not free. It's not sustainable. to go day in and day out at the pace that a teacher has to go without actually finding rest, real rest, so that we can recover and maintain a level of professionalism and maintain a level of energy that is needed for teaching. And I'm not trying to be dramatic. And I know that sometimes it does come across that way. And I'm not trying to be, off the wall. I'm trying to be honest, because teaching is hard. And if you can't name the reality, if you can't name what it is that you're struggling with, if you can't put a label on it, then you can't overcome it. You cannot heal if all you do is try to explain it away. You have to hit it head on. Number 2, permission to rest without guilt. Many teachers rest, but we rest with guilt. I mean, think about, and this may or may not apply to you, but think about the decision to take a day off as a teacher. What goes into making that decision? The very first thing that I think about is all the work that I'm going to have to make up whenever I get back. The fact that I know that whenever I'm out, that students are going to misbehave in ways that they would never misbehave if I'm there. The fact that I know that we're already shorthanded at school by like 10 employees and that this is just going to further the problem. That's the very first thing that goes through my mind. Many teachers fail to take days off because they don't want to be a burden to other people. But permission to rest means resting without an apology. And it recognizes that rest is not a reward for finishing all of your work. It's not something that you get because you did the best job possible. Rest is not laziness. And it's not a lack of commitment. And that's why permission reframes rest as maintenance and not as indulgence. And without internal permission, no boundary that you set, you will never be able to keep that boundary. Number 3, identity is not tied. Let me rephrase that. Your worth is not tied to your output. Healing will accelerate when teachers separate who they are from what they produce or how well they perceive that they do their job. And what that means is that value is not measured by exhaustion. You can't say, well, I'm worth more because I'm completely worn out. I'm completely exhausted. I did everything possible that could possibly be done in a single day. That does not make an employee valuable. Your worth does not increase because you work overtime without being paid for it. The average teacher in America works 15 hours a week of unpaid overtime. They do that because they feel like they have to, and I understand that. But in doing that, it does not make you worth more because, as we mentioned earlier, all of us are about 2 mistakes away from a pink slip. I mean, I work in Florida. It's an at-will state. You can't even be tenured in my state. I'm like 1 mistake away from a pink slip. Now, a lot of us view teaching as a calling. And I don't have a single problem with that. I view it that way too. But our calling does not require self-neglect. In fact, our calling requires us to take care of ourselves so that we can then in turn fulfill our calling. A healthy identity says, I am valuable before I perform. And that belief changes how teachers show up and how long you can stay in this business. That is 100% accurate. Number 4, safe honesty. Insulation or insulation, safe honesty. Isolation intensifies burnout. Healing requires for us to have at least one space, one place that we can go where it's okay to be honest. Every single person has to have a place where they can go and spill their tea and not worry about it getting back to other people and not worry about it getting back to their admin. I spent almost 3 years in a coaching relationship trying to work my way through burnout. Healing requires at least one honest and safe space to go to. Struggles don't have to be polished. You don't have to work everything out. You don't have to fix everything. Your needs do not have to be justified. You don't have to justify it to anybody. Nobody has to agree with you. Nobody has to say, oh, yeah, I understand what you're going through, so that makes it okay. No. You don't have to justify that to anybody. Connection does not mean oversharing. I want to be clear about that because not everybody has your best interest in mind. That's why you got to have a safe space. Some people, they want to get your information so that they can use it against you. So be very careful. Just because you have a connection with somebody doesn't mean that you need to overshare. It just means that you don't have to carry everything alone because you're not alone. There's literally millions of teachers just in America alone that understand intimately the issues that we're talking about. A safe connection reminds this: I'm not weak for struggling. I'm just a human. And that's what we are. That's what we are. We're just people. And so I want you to remember a couple of things. Number one, guarding your heart doesn't make you less effective. It's what makes effectiveness possible over time. Guarding your heart doesn't make you less effective. It's what makes you effective over time. Let me ask you a question right here in the chat box. If there was one thing, if you could work on just one thing, one of those things maybe it is, what would you work on? What's the one thing that you need to work on? We're in a good safe space right here. Your principal's not in here. Maybe that's what needs work on. I'm going to try to get caught up right here as we had a lot of people jump in. Holy cow. Is that Curtis Gauss? Holy macaroni. Guys, you don't know this. That's Curtis Gauss, 1884. This is the #1 principal on the planet. Are you still in here, Curtis? He was our principal for a couple of years down here in our area, and he went back up. I think he lives over somewhere near Jacksonville in that area, teaching nowadays. What a great guy! If you ever get the chance to move to Florida, and Curtis Gauss is your principal, you will absolutely love life. Curtis, I'm so glad you're in here, man. I appreciate it. I'm trying to scroll through all these things and I can't even figure out what's going on. Let's see here. Picking a stone. Your colleagues don't care. Ooh, you shouldn't care either. Can't teach if you're not well. 100%. And you know what? We're not brain surgeons. Okay. The idea is just to take care of ourselves. And Ripples in Water, they're being honest with us here. Overshare badly. I need to stop doing that. Absolutely. There he is. He is in here. There he is. Dude, I can't believe it. Holy cow. I am so glad that you're in here. Guys, give Curtis Gauss a big shout out. I didn't even know you had a YouTube channel, man. Oh, yeah, he's on the Georgia Line Life. That's where he's at. Yeah. So he's are you an hour and a half or two that we're apart? We haven't seen each other. I don't know. It's been a year or so. Yeah. Let's see. At the end of the day, every teacher and staff member follows me before thee. Probably so. You got it. Yeah. So listen here, cluster coach. Yes, absolutely. Got. I think. Yes. Curtis is top notch. Um, I didn't. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know you knew we existed, Curtis. Holy cow! I don't know what I'm doing now. I was so caught off guard whenever I saw that. Obviously, we care about our job and how. So picking and stem. So that's exactly what I struggle with, is because sometimes I feel like I may come off like, like we should just go all abandoned and not care about our job. That's precisely the opposite. It's precisely the opposite. I think, in retrospect, that the number one thing that we can do, if we care about our job, if we care about our students, if we care about our principal, the number one thing that we can do is take appropriate care of ourselves. Take appropriate care of ourselves. And that does mean drawing boundaries. That will mean sometimes not doing the extra work or volunteering for the thing that we need. It's going to require difficult conversations with your admin or with your PLC team or whoever it is that you have to work with. It does require those things, right? But our health as a human being is obviously not just important because of our families, right? And because of our loved ones, which is extraordinarily important. But if you want to be an exceptional teacher, you got to be a healthy teacher. Everybody in here knows and has met the teacher that was not doing well emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. We've all met him. I've been him. And I mean, I have been him. I was like so stuck in the dirt, kick rocks, mad, right? And angry, right? We all know that person. So with that in mind, to avoid becoming that person, we got to take care of ourselves. All right, once again, there's QR code, all kinds of free resources. They're free, they're 100% free, they're always free. That QR will take you right straight to my website, or you can get it down in the description box. Either way, feel free to take advantage of those resources because I made them just for teachers. 100% for teachers, and we want you to have them. Also, 3 resources. These are extraordinarily important, far more than my resources down there. And then I'm going to come back and we're going to get a couple more questions. Number 1 is Grace for the Afflicted, one of the best reads that I've ever had whenever it comes to the issue of mental health. All right, this is top notch. It's in the description box. Jump down there and grab it. Take you right over to Amazon. Maybe $10. Okay, I don't even know what it's worth. What it costs. It's worth every penny for you. Okay, grab it. All right. Number 2, Sacred Rest. Sandra Dalton Smith. Can't talk this book up enough. 7 different types of rest. Talks about burnout, and believe it or not, sleep is rest, but it's the least important. I don't want to say it's the least important, but it's just one element of resting and becoming healthy. This book, I absolutely absorbed it. There's some other resources inside the book that'll help you. It's in the description box. Go grab it. Okay. Finally, all right. I know that it says emotionally healthy leadership or emotionally healthy leader, but the real book that's linked in the description is Emotional Healthy Spirituality. I know that doesn't sound like a book that's for teachers, but I promise you it is. It's for any human being that struggles, okay? And there's a lot of us in here that struggle. Grab it, okay? Grab it. Just go right down in the description box and get it. Let's come back to a few things here. Try to get caught up. Yeah. Hey, I think I understood you. We're tracking on the same stream right there, Picking and Stone. Since I got that awful feedback, I'll be pulling back from trying to lead like I expected to. I got you. So, and you know what? Sometimes, and I hate to say this, but sometimes negative feedback gives us exactly the message that we need to do, and sometimes we do have to pull back. And there's nothing wrong with that at all, if that's what needs to be done right there. So my understanding here is Picking and Stone, and one for him. We're talking about the teacher that's angry and kicking rocks and mad. That was me. 100%. You're saying that's you. if I understand that right, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but it's hard for me to keep up with all the comments that are coming in. 100% understand you. 100% understand you. And listen, stay connected with us here at Teacher Talk because we certainly exist to be a support to teachers, and we want to do that as a matter of fact. And let's see what else we got right here so we can get through it. Save the care for your students. That's exhausting. Our job is to teach kids, not boy. Seems like my job is to deal with frustrating adults, I can tell you. I struggle. If all I had to deal with was the kids, I think I'd be all right. But once we add the adults into it, there's not much I can do. So, has anybody got anything else? If not, here's what I want you to hear. If you struggle with these unspoken rules, here's 2 other unspoken rules that you should know about. And I want you to stay strong and keep teaching. Ripples in the water. Yes, I'm pretty angry. Lots of rocks being kicked over here. I got to tell you. So, hey, thanks, Scorpio. We're absolutely going to take care of ourselves. And that's exactly what we need to do. Just in a moment of clarity, and I will share with you. And I spent 20 years in the pastoral ministry, and I never thought that there would ever be a time that I could get in the mental, emotional, and spiritual condition that I got into. And I was in such bad shape that I literally, it seemed like I hated the world. Now, maybe nobody else understands that, but I really felt like the whole world was against me, that everybody was against me, and I was struggling. And I tell you what happened. When my face went paralyzed, I began to try to reflect, but the more I reflected, the angrier I got. And somewhere about 5 to 6 months later, my face returned to normal or almost to normal. And I could bite down on a fork and I could finally smile a little bit. And God in his grace, and I know that this sounds weird, but God in his grace gave me a hobby. And that hobby was refurbishing furniture. And I started working out in my garage and started doing stuff. And I spent a lot of time out there just sanding and painting and repairing, watching throw up a ball game or something on my TV out there and watch that. And somehow in that garage and in that hobby, God was able to minister to my soul and begin to restore my health. And the next thing I know, I noticed that I had a reason to not stay at work. And I was excited to come home. I couldn't wait to get home and to be in my garage and work with that furniture. And I'm not trying to say that everybody out here needs to be a furniture repair person at all. But I'm saying that God often meets us in the strangest of places. I'm reminded of Elijah. Elijah defeated 850 prophets of Baal up on Mount Carmel. And no sooner was that over that Jezebel's like, man, I'm going to get you. And this guy takes off and he goes into this fit of depression. So much so that he's up by the brook Kidron, right? And he just wants to die. That's exactly what he said to God. He said, I just want to die, And, the thing is that God didn't come to him and tell him and scold him and, tell him to get up and pull himself up by the bootstraps. But he sent an angel. And he did 2 things. Number one, he gave him some sleep, rest. And he fixed him some food. And after that, that's when God began to deal with him. And that's why we talk so much, Ripples in Water, about rest. Rest. What can come out of rest. And it's not just sleep. That's why this resource is so important. It goes into 7 different types of rest and what those rests are meant to repair. So if I can encourage you, stay strong, stay strong. God's not abandoned us. He's still with us, right? He hasn't forsaken us. Somebody put it up here, Philippians 4:4-8. I believe what that says, Philippians 4:4-8. Now, if you know of anything good, anything praiseworthy, anything that is noble, think upon these things. Did I get that paraphrase there pretty good? Because I believe that's what it says. It's almost like the soul. It's almost like the soul-sucking demons from Harry Potter. So I've never watched a Harry Potter movie, but I get your analogy right there. So here's another one. Why do you think we should keep teaching? True question, not from sarcasm. I'm trying to find my why again. I feel like I lost it. I can tell you that the reason why I keep teaching is because I actually love kids. I love kids. I really love 6th grade kids. And I enjoy making an impact in their lives. I recognize now, after 17 years, that I'm not going to change the system. I'm not going to overhaul all the politics and all the things that I think are wrong. I'm just not. But what I can do on a daily basis is I can, every single day, impact the life of a human in such a way that it gives some guidance towards the future. That's why I think we should keep teaching. That's why I keep teaching for now. Yeah. Yes, that is Philippians in the Bible. Yes. I think I got the paraphrase. Let's see what Ripples in Water says. She said, I stay because I love the kids. I can't imagine not working with kids. Yeah. That's why most of us became teachers. Let's see. I do rest, thank goodness. I'm a dancer. Positive. I'm active in my church. Positive. Plus, my family is wonderful. Positive. You have got some good things going, Ripples in the Water. Lean into those things. Lean into those things, right? Sometimes we just find ourselves in a difficult times. Yeah. All right. Well, I got to tell you, this has been one of the best lives that I've been in. Oh yeah, it was Curtis that put Philippians 4, chapter 4, verses 4-8. It's been one of the best lives that I've had. Listen, I appreciate it. If you find it possible, join our membership. Go ahead and grab one. Get our resources. They're 100% free. Yeah, here it is. Believers, rejoice in all. There it is. Maintain gentleness, replace anxiety with prayer, thanksgiving, supplication, and promises that God's peace will guard us. Thank you, Cluster Coach. Thank you, Cluster Coach. Well, I was close though, wasn't I? Maybe that picks up at around verse number 8. Appreciate that. That's a good one for us to leave right there. Rejoice in the Lord always. Go to work and rejoice in the Lord. Maintain gentleness. Replace anxiety with prayer, thanksgiving, and supplication. And it promises that God will guard us. Excellent. That goes with guarding your heart. Let's see what. Yeah. Seminole. I love the kids. The actual teaching is great, but some of the teachers are, golly, it is. Listen, you've come to the right place, because that's our topic quite often, is that the environment is not so teacher friendly anymore. One of the things that you could do is, one of the videos I put out, one of the unspoken rules is, I just asked the question, is teaching family friendly? And the answer to that is yes and no. No, it's not family friendly if you get caught up in it, right? And you let it consume your life. Yes, it is family friendly if you draw boundaries. So, there's that. Ripples in the Water, appreciate you. Scorpio, appreciate you. Thank you, friend. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. All right. You guys have a good night. I will not be live next Sunday. Like the rest of America, I'm going to watch the Super Bowl. Okay.